Well, thank you, Rick. I told him, I said, dang, I'm glad this is an IH farm since I'm always talking about my international. It's interesting when you talk to somebody like Rick, you ask them what they grow. They corn, soybeans, family, kids, community. Family farms are what a lot of folks want to talk about it. Some folks live it on what it means. So, Rick, to you and your family, thank you. I know in today's world, opening up your farm and having folks come on here, as you said, you'll probably get less than a 5-finger wave sometimes. That happens. But look, this is about trying to figure out how do we bring this country back together, and there's no better place than being on a third-generation family farm to talk about this great country. So thank you. Been in his family since 1949. He said he started out with 40 dairy cows, still a family operation. And I have to tell you, thanks to all of you for coming out and standing on this land. It matters. And he mentioned the sun came out. He said, is it true that you guys control the weather? And my answer to that is if it was, it wouldn't be 40 below in Minnesota in January. So which he gets there. But look, we got a lot of things on the mind here. I've had the opportunity and the privilege to get to know a lot of folks here in Pennsylvania and see the commonality that we have together. I'm just going to ask you all to, on behalf of the rest of the country, please send Bob Casey back to the Senate if you can. Please do that. I traveled with Senator Casey. They took me along on a Senate Foreign Relations trip over to the Middle East. And I'll tell you, just the respect he has, the understanding of the issues, the way he carries himself. And he's just a good guy. And so get him back in there. And then and the thing you get to know is, too, is as governors, Governor Whitmer said this yesterday, the thing about governors, they just have to get shit done. That's what you do. Your governor here knows something about that in Governor Shapiro. He taught all of us that we can do a lot better building bridges if we put our mind to it. And you can get them up in a hurry and you can get people back to work. We watched that happen. And so I'm really grateful for that. Look, family farms, we share a proud tradition, history of feeding and fueling this country. Rural neighbors, foundational to America's success. And I promise you this, Vice President Harris and I, when we win this election, we will have rural America's back just like they've had our back. So I talked to the vice president about this, understanding what rural community needs. In the Senate, she was there and she represented. This is what people forget. We all talk about our agricultural roots. The largest agricultural state in the country is California. And as a senator from California, she understood that. She secured $20 billion to help hundreds of thousands of family farms and ranchers promote sustainable agriculture, increase resilience against extreme weather. We were just talking about this. We need to be ready for this. We moved from drought to flooding within years now. They keep telling us about 1,000-year floods. Many of us have seen 1,000-year floods in our lifetime now. That's the things that she's working on. So I'm really proud to be her running mate in this. And look, you've heard me say this. I grew up in rural Nebraska. And this rural folks know this. This is a game we play. How small was your town that you grew up in? 400 people. Somebody say, oh, that's not bad. A little small. 24 kids in my class. And then they say, that's not bad. Many of them were cousins. So that's when you get really small. But look, that's how it is. You grew up understanding that. You grew up in communities that you help one another. This new phenomenon of being each other's throats and talking about politics all the time, that's not what we did. We helped one another. You got through. And when somebody was sick, the families were there to help them, delivering food or helping with the farms, whatever it might be. So look, I learned a lot of things on those family farms, learned about what responsibility looks like. We were talking about this. We also learned to drive when we were 10, and that's probably probably not what you did. I learned how to tune a 79 International Harvester Scout pretty well. That's still running, been in my family for a while. So look, my warmest and some of the things that I remember most about those memories of growing up was being on the land and understanding what it meant. And I'll have to tell you, this is one of those things too. Growing up with my dad and my late younger brother, just this last weekend in Minnesota was the opening of pheasant season. And some of you, if you never hunt pheasants, I'm telling you, you need to get into this. It's early in the morning. A lot of times there's frost. It was warm this year, but I can still remember it like it was yesterday. Coffee's brewing. My dad, my brother, and I, you're going out there. The dogs are in the field. You're on the land that's been in your family for a long time. and you're getting to participate in something that we all love so much, being with family, being on that land and hunting. So look, these are the things that I do and the things I did last weekend that are part of who we are. And when Kamala Harris is talking to rural America, that's the things that we're talking about. And I have to tell you, they let me last weekend on Friday night go back to my old high school where I coached football to go to a football game. And they let me Saturday morning hunt. I have not been happier in the last 3 months than I was then. So